Well, hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name's Jeff Fagien, and if you're new here, I'm a filmmaker and director of photography based out of South Florida. And this is a channel where I talk a little bit about gears, post some of my work, and show some of the BTS with that work. And in today's video, we're going to talk about the Fimi Palm, which is a cool little handheld gimbal camera that is pretty similar to the Osmo Pocket, but at the same time, it's very different. So let's dive in. So off the bat, the Fimi Palm has a much wider field of view than the Osmo Pocket, for better or worse. So if you're looking for a wider image, because the Osmo Pocket does have a more narrow image than traditional action camera, the angle of view is pretty wide, and on top of it, right here, it actually has a joystick, unlike the Osmo Pocket, built in, so you can control the angle of the camera, and you can also do a digital zoom if you switch to that mode. Don't really recommend the digital zoom because it looks like it does interfere with the image, but it is nice to be able to have full control over the tilt and pan of the camera. The only thing I have noticed is it doesn't seem to be a quick mode to basically turn this into selfie mode like the Osmo, so I pretty much hold the pan all the way until the gimbal faces me, and then it's good to go. When the camera is in selfie mode, essentially, when I'm moving really fast back and forth, it seems to be able to hold up and keep up with me quicker than the Osmo Pocket can, but it seems that that's also due to the much wider field of view. It's able to just keep you in frame a lot easier, even if face tracking isn't on. One of the pros is that this camera has the built-in Wi-Fi feature, so if you get the app, you can actually fully control the camera via the Wi-Fi without having to get any kind of external device to be able to do it. Very cool. The next thing is the bottom is a lot more flat than the Osmo Pocket, so you can basically just put it down much easier and not worry about the thing falling over. It has pano modes, it has time-lapse modes, it can take raw photos just like the Osmo Pocket can. Where this device is different besides the angle of view starts getting into the video modes. So the device can record H.264 and H.265. However, when you're using H.265, you're not getting the same bitrate as H.264. It ends up being a much lower bitrate, but then it gives you the same quality as the H.264 files. So if you're using somewhat of a slower SD card or you want smaller file sizes, you can use the H.265 encoding and get the same quality for smaller file sizes. H.265 is a little bit more intensive on the computer, so if you can, use the H.264 because it'll be easier for your computer to edit with. The next thing is the frame rates. So if you're using this camera and you're planning on picking it up as a vlogging camera, as a travel camera, or just like an everyday camera, then this is the camera for you. If you're a filmmaker and you plan on using the camera in filmmaking applications, you may want to reconsider, only due to the fact that there is no 24p in this camera, not at 4K, not at 2.7K, and not at 1080. There is 60 frames per second at 2.7K and at 1080, and there's also a slow-mo mode, but there is no 24p. So for some people that may be a deal breaker. They may bring it in firmware. They haven't said anything, but I'm assuming it is possible since it's actually less than what the camera is capable of. At the current time in March of 2020, there is no 24p on this camera, so that is something to be aware of. The Osmo Pocket has 4K 60 and it has 24p in 4K. The 24 mode is essentially the high bitrate mode as well. Now, the Fimi Palm does have a log mode. I don't really use it because you're using an 8-bit codec, so log is sometimes a little too extreme, at least in my opinion, to use with an 8-bit codec, but it is there if you want to use it. Just like the Osmo Pocket has the Cine D, but it is a little bit more gradable in 8-bit. Another differentiating factor is the Fimi Palm actually has a 1/4-inch thread right back here, so if you need to mount it to a tripod or you need to mount any 1/4-inch thread accessories, you can do that right here on the back of the Fimi Palm. It's hard to say the colors that I like more, but I have both cameras side by side, and you guys can take a look for yourself and make the decision. Sometimes I do like the Osmo Pocket more in certain situations, and sometimes I actually like the Fimi Palm more, but it does seem that the Fimi Palm was, for whatever reason, getting the exposure more accurately than the Osmo Pocket was, and again, I think this is due to the wider field of view, and it's easier for it to judge where it needs to get in focus. So in some of these clips, you see the sky is very prevalent villain in the shot, and the Fimi Palm is exposing for that, where the Osmo Pocket has a little bit of trouble. Sometimes it's exposing for my face and it's a little bit overexposing. At other times, it's actually clipping the sky. So it's interesting to see the differences. Again, you're looking at the Osmo Pocket. It's occasionally going on sale for a little over $300. It's normally sitting at $350, $400. So the Fimi Palm is half the price. So you do have to remember that there are going to be some sacrifices, but for the price, I wouldn't say the Osmo Pocket is necessarily worth double the price unless you need the specific features that the Fimi Palm is lacking. If you're a filmmaker and you need 24p or 60p, or you like that more narrow field of view, then I would go with the Osmo Pocket. If you're using this camera to vlog, or it's a family camera, or you're just going to take it on trips, I would definitely look into the Fimi Palm because it fills a lot of the boxes. It's got a much wider field of view. It's much easier when you're holding this out to get in focus. It's much easier to be in frame because it's just much more wide angle, and there is a little bit more depth of field on the Osmo Pocket, but I think that's part of the reason why it's a little bit more narrow. Overall, I really do enjoy this camera. I've tried using my USB-C peripherals and they didn't seem to work, but it could just be because they were bad. The USB-C peripheral I have is for microphones, and it didn't seem to do anything when plugged in, so maybe there needs to be a firmware update, but I'm sure that can come easily. If you guys have any experience with the Fimi Palm, please put them in the comments below. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on this camera. I think for the price, it's a great deal. Again, you just have to be aware of the quirks, but that's pretty much it for this video. If you guys enjoyed it, please hit the like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and until next time, my name's Jeff Fagien, and I will see you in the next video.